Hi, this is Aaron and Linda with Traveling Flamingo, and today we're going to try to bring some positive cruise news to all of us. It's been story after story of delays and all that sort of stuff, so we wanted to talk about a few positive things, such as where you can actually sail, and how many people are interested in these simulated voyages. All of that coming right up.
So as Aaron said, we wanted to look into some positive things that are happening with cruising right now. Since mid-March, it's been really tough for the cruise line, directly and indirectly, everybody who supports that area of work and everything, and it's been really tough. And there's been a lot of heat even around restarting and the language that's used around cruising and the safety of it. And, we've been watching and hearing a lot of people going, well, is it much different than really getting on a plane and sitting right next to people? So, there has been cruising going on. I know in the U.S., it's great to hear that the CDC has brought out a framework. So there are a lot of cruise lines are working towards that framework. And Aaron's going to talk a bit more about an aspect of that, I guess, later.
Well, and a lot of the cruising has been more successful outside of America. I know America's having a couple little stumbles these days, but there are other areas.
Yeah, it's a lot in Europe and in Asia, and they're sort of within a country, within the own citizens of that country are the cruises that have been happening. Now there have been a few recent lockdowns which have interrupted some of these cruises, but overall it's been very successful. So we're going to go through all the cruise lines and what they're doing. They're following very strict health and safety protocol. We've got a couple I think they're good videos looking at the EU Healthy Gateway guidelines, which these cruise lines are following to ensure that these cruises are safe. So we've got 2 videos on that. I'm sure Aaron will put them in the comments below, so you can check those out if you're interested to know a little bit more specifically around what they're doing. But we'll start off with telling you which ocean cruise lines are currently going. Some of them are only for citizens of that country, but there are a few that are open to all. So the first one is ADA. They are going to the Canary Islands, and that one is only for German citizens, and you do require a COVID test prior to sailing. Aronui is doing French Polynesian, and all visitors are welcome for this cruise. You do need to have a negative COVID test before your flight, and then once you arrive, you do get another test before you get on the cruise ship as well.
Costa Cruise Lines is doing Italy, Western Mediterranean, and this is available for Italians only, unfortunately. At the end of the month, they will be opening it up for the other Europeans, and again, you do require a COVID test.
Coral Expeditions is doing some cruising, but it's only for Australians in Australia.
Dream Cruises, it's doing the Taiwanese islands from Singapore, and this is only for the Taiwanese and Singaporeans.
Hapag-Lloyd is leaving from Hamburg, and it's doing one of those cruises to nowhere, which I gotta say I wouldn't be against right now. Yeah. They are open to Germans, Australians, and Swiss.
Metropolitan Touring, they're doing the Galapagos Islands, and if you can travel to Ecuador, you can do it. So I guess it's country specific. You do need a negative test before you go to the Galapagos Islands, and face masks are mandatory, although most of the cruise lines are saying that anyways.
Yes. MSC has the Grandiosa doing week-long sailings in Italy, and the MSC Magnifica is doing Italy, Greece, and Rome. These are only for the Schengen citizens, not UK. So it's a little bit wider, but not all of Europe are able to participate, and as Canadians and North Americans, we're not able to participate. You do need a negative test, and also as a note that excursions need to be with the cruise line, and this is something that a lot of the cruise lines are adopting, that if you are getting off the ship, you do need to stay with a cruise line excursion.
There's also TUI, which is German cruise, currently suspended with November lockdown, but they're still offering week-long Canary Island cruises, and it's for Germans only.
Yeah. So for those of you who prefer river cruises, and it's actually a great option depending, regardless of where you're from, because most of them are open to all people. They are experiencing some lockdowns because Germany is locked down right now, but that's supposed to end at the end of the month. So, check those out, look into that if that's an option for you. Amadeus, they have 6 ships sailing. Did I say it wrong? Amadeus, they have 6 ships sailing, and Danube, Rhine, Main, Dutch, and the Belgium waterways. And again, this one is open to all.
They also have Nico, which is Nico Vision, is available by German. It's unavailable right now due to the German lockdown. Cruising to Danube and the Rhine River, and again, that's open to all.
And the last one is Viva Cruises. They are also affected by the lockdown, but again, hopefully it's going to be ending this week. And they sail to Maine, the Rhine, and Moselle for their 4-night cruises, and that's, again, open to all. So we know, when we're saying open to all, that there are some countries, especially, that are making international travel really challenging, and there's a lot of restrictions. And, we experience that here in Canada because having to have a 2-week self-isolation at home after going away is a lot. It's challenging for people who work. That's not an option for a lot of people. I wish it was. So, knowing that this is out there and happening, I think it's nice to know that they've been successful for months. It's going well. The more rigorous cleaning, that the vaccine is possibly coming. I think it's really hopeful that cruising will be starting in the Americas soon.
Yes. And just to extend that hope that we're going to be cruising soon, there's been a lot of reception for these simulated voyages. So as we know, several cruise lines are making plans for these test cruises or simulated cruises. Just as a recap, the reason why they're doing this is the CDC has the framework for conditional sailing. In order to get your certification to sail now, you're going to require doing these simulated voyages. A lot of the rules on board are very similar to the EU Healthy Gateway stuff. However, they've added an extra layer where the CDC is going to ask you to perform this with, real live people and sort of rehearse this. And then from there, they'll give you your certification if everything goes well. So on these cruises, they'll test various types of health and safety procedures. Some of them are a little bit more fun, like they're going to be testing entertainment and different sort of distancing for restaurants and stuff. So that would be a bit more fun. However, there's some stuff that's a little less fun. So they're going to be testing the new check-in processes and procedures. They're going to be doing the embarkation procedures because we all love standing in the terminal for a long time. The quarantine simulations, so they're going to simulate people being quarantined. Evacuation simulations, including simulating taking a COVID-19 positive person on and off the ship. So a lot of these types of things they're going to be doing on this. However, it seems as though well over 100,000 people will take any cruise at this point because they've signed up to do this, which does sound exciting. So this is with Royal Caribbean. If you are interested in taking one of these simulated voyages, we added the link to the Royal Caribbean sign-up page. All you will need for that is the number of people in your party, your first and last name, phone number, email, the 3-letter citizenship country code, and optionally your Crown and Anchor Society number. There is no word as to when these ships will sail, but it seems as though one of the requirements is that you test private islands and excursions on private islands. So they're going to have to be sailing to Coco Cay. They're going to have to be doing that. So they'll more than likely be departing from Florida. So, hopefully that is still on track with the cases that are happening in Florida and the US. There have been no other announced cruise line simulated voyages, though, as of yet. So that's definitely going to be interesting. I would ask if you would be willing to try this, or did you sign up for it? Because I know a lot of you really want to get on those cruise ships.
I think it also goes to show that if people have been watching and keeping up on what's been happening in Europe and feel that those safety precautions are safe, the CDC, I would say, took it to another level. They are very strict. So, for example, as Aaron said, with the quarantine, in Europe, if somebody had symptoms and they were testing them, only the people who were in direct contact with them would also have to self-quarantine, where if they have a positive test, the entire ship goes into quarantine. So I think that's sort of interesting to keep in mind that, maybe people are saying like over 100,000 people, yeah, they have got strict restrictions, the cleaning protocol, the physical distancing. Hey, I'm going to probably safer than maybe going to my grocery store, depending where you live. So I think it's nice to know that, hey, when this opens back up, there are people ready and willing to get on those cruise ships.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it a bit too, they're only allowing 7-day cruises to get a certification. You can only do 7-day cruises, and you've got, because of the limits they're going to be putting on the number of people who are there, these ships are big. Like, you think of airplanes, and they're filling airplanes. You've seen the stuff on Thanksgiving where they're packing people into airplanes. And I get that they would probably classify airplanes as more of an essential service than a cruise ship. But, the economics in terms of COVID spread, I would say, is the same. You've got a lot of people packed into a small place. You've got more space on cruise ships. You've got, lower passenger volumes that you can have on a cruise ship. You've got more cleaning on a cruise ship because you're not really cleaning on an airplane. And yet we're still kind of trying to figure out how cruise lines are going to reopen. So it's interesting just, what's happening between the way in which flights and airplanes are being allowed to reopen and things like cruise ships aren't. And I get it. Like, there was the bad press from this whole thing that kicked off with the Princess Cruise. But, I think one of the most important things of all of these regulations is that they have to have plans for the ship having COVID when it docks back at its home port. And I think that was the big gap that they had at the beginning of all of this.
Oh, even having a port to dock at.
Yeah, exactly, right? And there's got to be an agreement with a hospital to take these passengers. There's agreements with hotels to hold passengers. And, I get it. When this actually gets, I think one of the good reasons of having the rehearsals is I hope they test a lot of this stuff. So it's not the first time, because that'll be a cluster, I'm sure, when it's the first time. But, having those plans is important and they should be rehearsing them.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's really promising, and it shows that a lot of people do want to get cruising and help the economy, and hopefully the cruise lines and also all those small companies that support the cruise lines are just able to hopefully it's only a little bit longer and people can hold on.
Yeah, I mean, think of all the kiosks and stuff in ports that you go to where a lot of those people aren't going to be necessarily having those jobs at the moment. So yeah, hopefully we get back to it. Positive news though overall this week. We wanted to sort of take a bit of a positive spin on what's going on in the cruise line industry this week. We will definitely keep you updated on how these cruises go, so don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in finding out more about that. Please do like this video if you liked it, and we hope that you all have safe and happy travels, especially with the US Thanksgiving. Happy travels.